Okay, well, good evening. Um, I'm back in the catbird seat again. Um, uh, Linda was called away on an emergency out of town, and I think someone passed away in her family. Um, and at the last second, she had to bow out as the hostess for Michael Mesich this evening. As some of you know, the names are similar between Michael and April because they are husband and wife. And anyway, Michael has been around for quite some time. He serves as the U.S. Administration for Heroes, the Administrator for Heroes. He is a co-director of the Twin Cities Backgammon Club, co-director of the annual Viking Backgammon Classic, along with April, the ABT event, and is currently serving as the Chief Technology Officer for the USBGF. Professionally, Michael has a long history of working in technology and is currently working in information security. In addition to backgammon, Michael is an avid collector, player of board games, with over 500 games in his personal collection. I find that fascinating. Where do you keep 500 games? Do you have a private room for that?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
So the topic today is getting to know backgammon studio heroes. And I would like to turn it over to you, Michael. Welcome.
All right. Thank you, Antoinette.
Welcome to our little house.
Thank you, Women of Backgammon, for allowing me to come. And I don't think I've seen anyone online really do a nice walkthrough of the environment. I'm sure most of you played on the Heroes site at least once to
Yeah.
If there's anybody who has not yet got a Heroes account, it does require an invitation, and we can easily get that to you, either April or myself. So if you have not yet got an account, let us know in the chat, and we'll come back around and send out an email that'll get you registered. Otherwise, certainly take advantage of the Women of Backgammon monthly tournaments that takes place on Heroes. It's a great opportunity to get some camaraderie and some play. Before I begin, I just wanted to collect if there were any specific questions that you have that you want to make sure that I can answer or illuminate for you. So I know Leslie wants to better know how she can find herself in the list. Does anyone else have any specific questions that I can write down to make sure that I hit as we go through? Jenna?
So I find it confusing to see how many rooms there are, and if that matters.
And like trying to find the room that you need?
Correct, or even just where to find games.
Okay.
And then there seems to be a friends option because people have friended me, but I don't know how to find the friends or see if they're in the lobby, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And then thirdly, I'm very interested in tournaments, but I'm not a premium member, so I know that limits a little bit. And the one tournament that I've joined, my opponent just was never available. And after 30 days, there was apparently a random 50-50 pick over who got advanced, and it was not me.
Oh, interesting. Was that one of the automated tournaments, or did a person?
Correct.
Okay.
No, correct.
Okay.
It's one of the automated that you see. So
yeah,
that's three. Thank you. 3 questions.
Okay. Yep. Nope. I'm pretty sure I'll hit those, but I have notated them to make sure that I do get to them. Anyone else? Karen?
I'd like to. I'm interested in finding the database of my mistakes.
Sure.
matches played and how to analyze or get the most out of learning from my own mistakes.
There will be there'll be some great things that I can show you for that. And error
I see
analysis.
Karen Doobie also has a question.
Karen,
Karen, you can go ahead and unmute.
Oh, the audio is a little choppy there,
Hi.
Karen. Sorry.
I'd like to know more about the compensation aspect. I have a community membership, but I think it never seems to show up. So.
Hey, Karen,
I
your
think-
audio is having trouble. Can you put your question in the chat, please?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that'll be better. I think it had something to do with not having a premium membership, but I couldn't really make out anything past that.
Leslie has an additional question.
How do you
in
make
the
a friend
chat.
with someone who's not online at the time? You can't, is today's answer. It's unusual, but I don't believe that there's a facility for a player to search for who else is on the system if they're not currently logged in. I can do it as an admin, but I think you just have to meet up with them at the same time online. Guess we'll just wait for Karen to get her question into the chat.
Michael,
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I have another question. I've had difficulty with meeting up with someone in a different country, a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I did lose a match because I couldn't coordinate the time. So is there an easier way to understand?
The answer to that is worldtimebuddy.com. It's a website where you can put in your city and then the city or country of the person that you're interested in, and it'll give you a nice little literal timeline of what time it is for you and what time it is for them.
Well, it doesn't necessarily, the people that I play there, their country is not listed in the app where I have to send the time that I want to play, or what time, or the time that they're interested in playing.
Okay, well, I mean, between the two of you in the messaging, you need to clarify your time zones somehow, otherwise time has no meaning, right? Now, having said that, there is a scheduling section of Heroes. I don't personally use it, but I will go through and show you how you might be able to leverage it for these matches, and maybe someone else here has used it successfully.
Okay, thank you.
I think Edwin is specifically talking about World Backgammon Internet Federation matches. So it's also the way you schedule matches in the WBIF system.
Yeah, there may be. Which clock do you select to agree with USBGF default? That's going to be based on the tournament that you're playing. And usually you'll be in a tournament room where it'll be locked and you won't have to worry about it anyway. And we can see some examples of that. I can't seem to find messages that someone has left for me. We'll see that. And I'm totally new, so I'm going to play a game with April. Okay, great. All right. Well, this is certainly a good list of questions, and I'll try to make sure that I check them off as we go down the list, but we may as well jump into it. Let me share my screen here. Let's see, share the audio too. Oops, wrong browser. Oh, I guess I lost my other one. All right, here we are. Is everyone seeing my screen okay?
Yes.
All right, good.
Welcome back.
So here we are, Backgammon Studio Heroes. I believe the first time you log in, it will kind of run you through an introductory set of slides. But once you've nexted through that, this is what you will always see when you first enter the site. And you'll get this news for you today. So for example, I do have one tournament match opponent that I need to play at some point. I have a list of tournament rooms that have been bookmarked and will always be available to me fairly easily right here. One of which being the USBGF Women of Backgammon room where your monthly tournaments are held. If you click next, you'll get some informational links. For example, this link to the user guide. There is a 60-page Heroes documentation document. If you're the type of person who learns better by reading, I can certainly encourage you to go ahead and open that and go through that. Some frequently asked questions are here, just some basic information. One thing that you'll find is there's a lot of kind of short attention span documentation scattered all throughout the site. But just so they know, you could just run down this if you wanted a little bit of a refresher on what's available, but we'll go ahead and close it. And now we're at the main interface. And this is the place where people typically get overwhelmed because there's lots of lists of things. You may or may not see this Royals section. If you don't, I encourage you to turn it on because this is an area where instead of inviting someone to a match, you can actually just either claim the spot or challenge somebody who's in the spot, and you'll automatically get matched up in a certain type of game. If we click on the little crown here, you can see there's 5-point matches, speed matches, DMP, Knackgammon, Pasco Gammon, and they're very simple. You can just either claim it or you can challenge the person who currently has it. And for me, that's pretty much all I do because I don't like throwing out blind invitations to random people. And it's a nice way to start to get familiar maybe with some of the more regular players. But like I said, that's an option that may not be turned on. I'll show you where you can turn that on. Otherwise, you have this big long player list, and this is showing you everybody that's currently logged into Heroes. And it tells you, well, I have it set to show their rating, the country that they're from, and this flag is their status. So if it's a circle with a line through it, they're busy, so they're unable to be challenged. The different flag settings or whether they're ready for any match, or actually we can show here. This is where you set your own flag. For example, my flag is set for tournament ready. If I click this little box, I'll get the full list. So maybe I'm looking for any match. Maybe I only want to play with a friend so that then only people that I'm friends with can send me a challenge. Maybe I'm looking to resume a match and I only want to resume matches. Or you can choose, maybe I'm only interested in 7-point matches or, you know, Pasco Gammon matches. But regardless of what it is, you can set your flag here, and I'll just go to busy to make sure that nobody tries to challenge me while I'm giving this talk. But that's where you can set your own setting, and this is where you can see what's going on with everybody else. You'll notice that it's not very efficient if you're looking for people who are looking for a match. So a thing you can do is you can actually sort by these headers. If I click the F for flag, now it'll group all the flags together, and I can see all of these people are purportedly available to be challenged in a match. In order to do so, you just click on them. So like this is Marianne Bowen. If I wanted to challenge her to a match, I could click on her name here. I could choose the different types of format, the match type, the length, the clock, whether it's rated, PR, you know, lots of information, whether the pip count shows, whether observers can see it, and then I can challenge her. And then she has the opportunity to either accept the challenge or decline it, or potentially change the settings and challenge me back. But that's kind of the core of how you challenge someone recreational, shall we say. The other list that's here when you first log in is this is all the current matches that are in progress. So these are all the matchups that are currently running, and we can see like what type of match they are. We can see how long the match is. If you were looking like maybe, is there anyone here that I know? So here's like Kara Schultz. So if we go down this list here, you can also sort by player. So that's one way that you could maybe find yourself a little easier, Leslie, is by sorting by player and going down to the L's. But if we go down to the K's and I just mouse over Kara, it will highlight her and show me which match she's currently playing. Another thing that can make it easier for you to find matches is if you know how many points that match is, you can sort it by length, and then you'll be able to see all the 11-point matches, for example, and not have to pick and choose, you know, through there to find exactly the match that you're looking for. And then you have a chat section. And down here, I find people, you know, you can go in here and say, hey, you know, who wants to play a 5-point match, or who's available? And sometimes you'll get better engagement with people that way, because you can just, when they respond, their name comes up here and you can just click on it and it goes straight to the challenge dialogue. In this case, Jeff is already playing a match. So instead of challenge, I have the opportunity to observe. And what that'll do is that'll bring we'll bring Maggie in. That'll allow me to watch their match in progress. We could probably even take a look at that real quick. So here they're playing Bucky G down here, Jeff. Because of the settings that they have, we can see their current PR rating. We can see the luck rating. We can see how many awesomes in a row they've had, which means they've made the best move consecutively for a certain amount of time. And we're just observers. We're just observers. Come up to the menu, we'll exit that match, and we'll go back to the main interface. I'm going to come back to these other tabs at the header because I think it's more important to talk about, for example, this help section. Remember I said that he has all sorts of very short to the point, kind of short attention span help documents. This is an example. There's a great deal of information here. The trick is finding it. If you want to learn about incomplete matches, you can click on that and get specific here. If you're curious about luck and, you know, are the dice engineered and rigged, there's some information here to help assuage that for you. How do you invite friends? How do you make friends? What are the different match formats? Just all sorts of little information nuggets galore in this help section. Over on the other side, we have a menu. And actually, before I go there, there is one more spot that I want to show you. So this is where you set your flag. This other little button will show you your current statistics. So here it shows my current rating, my peak rating, my all-time PR, my win ratio, how many games I've played, and whatnot. If I look at show, it'll kind of show me where I'm at in the champions list, which I'm not anywhere near the top, so I don't even show up. But that's how you can see your statistics, in particular your current ELO rating and your PR. And then in the middle, we have this drop down of different rooms. And what we've been looking at from the beginning is the main room. But you also have the opportunity to take a look at just your friends. So if I click that, I see that there's a Shark Princess and Sean Garber are currently online because they have boxes. All these other are friends who are not online. And this checks off, I think, this bit here. This is a quick and easy way to find your friends, see if they're available, and you can challenge them directly from this view. Also, if you just want to see who else was in your city or your country, or if you're entered in any tournaments. So for example, I am entered in a tournament and this is my opponent. If I was entered in multiple tournaments, I would have multiple opponents here, depending on how many matches I had queued up to play. So that's a shortcut to find your tournament matches, no matter what the tournament is. And then we have tournament rooms, and this is where it can get a little overwhelming because there are a lot, right? So how do we manage this? Well, one way is we can use this little magnifying glass. And let's say we want to find the USBGF Women of Backgammon room. I can just start typing in the letters USB, and it's scoped it down to the two channels that that start with USBGF. And in this case, I'm looking for the Women of Backgammon. So now I can click on that. And now I am in the USBGF Women of Backgammon tournament room. When you're in this room, any matches that you start will automatically apply the settings that are predefined by the tournament organizer. So the monthly tournament is 7-point matches. It has a particular clock setting. It has specific settings, so the pip count is always on, for example. And you won't have to worry about setting the settings correctly when you challenge someone when you're in the tournament room. You may remember when I first logged in, I had a list that showed me tournament rooms that I had saved, kind of bookmarked there. And the way you do that is you click on this button to add it to My Rooms. And once you've done that, you can go to the menu, you can go to My Rooms, it will bring up that window, and here you can see a list of all of the tournament rooms that you've personally bookmarked. So now you can go here instead of going to that big long list of tournament rooms and either searching or scrolling through trying to find the tournament room that you need to be in. So that is a great and helpful feature. All right, so now let's take a look at what we have in this menu. There is an intro. I think this is what comes up the very first time you enter into Heroes. It has some information about what's the difference between competition format and BG Studio format. And I can tell you the difference is competition format is competition. There's no analysis shown. There's no feedback on how good your move is or isn't. It's what you would expect in a serious competition. BG Studio format allows you to get feedback. So in just straight BG Studio mode, you'll get the awesomes and nice and blunder and things like that for every move that you make as you play, as a learning tool to give you some immediate feedback on your play. In addition, if you go a little bit deeper, there's a match type called consultation that will actually show you your running PR as you play, which I think is a great learning tool because you get immediate feedback when your plays either help or hurt your PR. And then if you go to next, it'll give you.
Peggy Newbig has a question, a related question on
Okay,
how.
yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see the chat when I have my screen.
That's why I'm moderating it for you. Yes.
Yeah.
So, Peggy, you can unmute and ask your question about awesomes if you'd like, or I can read it for you. Okay, I'll just read it for you. She says, how do you set it to say awesomes? Say awesome, and I'd like to give that feedback. I'd like to get that feedback while I play.
Well, you kind of cut out there, but luckily I could still hear you. So that's the difference between competition mode and BG Studio mode. So when you're in a competition where people would consider it maybe unfair for you to have live feedback, it will be a competition format. But if you're in a more casual environment, you can play in a BG Studio format, and BG Studio format is the one that will give you those verbal feedback, your awesomes and whatnot. So if you're the one who's making the challenge and you want that feedback, make sure you change the format to BG Studio. Usually, yeah, I don't know. If you don't, then there will be no feedback and you won't know how your play is progressing until you get to the end of the match, at which point you can then review it, and we'll take a look at that a little bit closer. So moving forward, oh, also let me know if I ever start going too fast. I don't know if the pace of this presentation is going okay, but sometimes I can get a little bit too speedy. So if we're just going still through the intro. This is just a little primer on those different types of rooms like we had talked about. There are some computer players that if you just want to get familiar with playing backgammon on Heroes, you can challenge the computers and they will always accept. And they have various skill ratings amongst them. They're pretty good. They're pretty good, but it's a great way just to get familiar with moving the checkers and playing the game. This bit here, yeah, this is just, these are kind of old screenshots. That's one of the things is the Heroes platform changes a lot, which in one sense is good because the developer is very responsive to ideas for features, but the documentation kind of winds up lagging. So, you know, pros and cons, pros and cons. And then this is the menus, which we'll talk about, and tournament organizers that use it, just some promo stuff. So if we go to the menu, that was intro. Scheduling is a place, Antoinette, that you may be able to utilize. What it does is it allows you to select the hours that you're typically available for play or like typically are on the site. So in this example, they say like from 6 to 9, and then most of the day on the weekends are time slots that they would be available for. And then what your opponent will do is they'll choose one of them, and you'll get a little notification will be sent in the match scheduler, and in theory, it'll help you both agree on a time, and I believe the times are already scoped down to the user's time zones. So any time that you look at should be in your time zone, and the time that they look at would be in their time zone. And you'll get a little message in your message center, which I'll also show, when those match schedules are proposed, and then you have the opportunity to either accept it or update it and resubmit it to see if maybe a different time is better. So that's the scheduling area. Available time is where you set, okay, I play from this time to this time. Maybe I play extra on Tuesdays, so I'll just click off these bits here. So now someone would see it and they go, oh, on Tuesdays, you know, they have availability here. I don't personally use it, so I haven't really crafted mine, but if you're in a lot of tournaments, this might be a very helpful tool for you to use. WBIF mode, I don't know specifically what it is because I don't really play with the WBIF that often. What I believe it does is it flips some settings automatically for you, but I don't know which ones. So I'm not really going to go through that. The My Rooms brings up that window like it when you first log in that shows you the tournament rooms that you've already pre-selected and added to your bookmarks. My Profile is where your profile is. You can select the club that you play at. You can select the city that you live in, choose your country flag, a little bit of info, a little photos, nice. If you want to be able to invite people to play on Heroes, so maybe you have some friends that you want to start playing with, you need to be verified in order to do that. And the way you get verified is you have to update your real name in your profile. Once you've done that, you could send a note to me or to April or to Martin if you play on the OTS for the USBGF, and we can get you verified. And once you're verified, you have the ability to invite other players. You put in their email address, and their name, and it'll send an invite to that player, and they'll be able to register for an account. Right now, when Galaxy kind of had these problems, Heroes had an influx of players that were just bad players. They would quit when they started losing and just started seeing some behavior problems. So the developer just kind of tacked it down, and now you need an invite from someone in order to register an account. And this is the way that we can help you to then help others to get accounts on Heroes. And that happens in
Jenna
here.
asks, does your real name show to others when they look at your profile?
It does. It does. Now, if you don't want to be, I mean, you can, it doesn't until you put it there. But if you don't use it, then you can't be verified to then invite other players. But when you're invited, by default, I don't think the name shows. And I believe that you can update it to remove it. But the idea is we're trying to build a community here rather than an anonymous game server. So I think we're trying to lean into real people, real names. But understandably, if some people are sensitive about that, you can still restrict it. You just can't invite other people to the platform if you do. Hopefully that makes sense. Continuing our tour of the menu, my matches. This is I'm pretty sure this is a premium feature. And what that is that's a shortcut to all of my matches that have been stored in the database on Heroes. You'll see a lot of them don't have any PR listed, and that's because they're Royals games or casual games. With the advent of all the people coming over from Galaxy and the bad behavior, Heroes developed a casual format such that if someone does leave early, the game will end after about a minute, and the person who left will get an automatic loss. So that's kind of a benefit over Hero or over Galaxy, where, you know, if somebody leaves and there's 10 minutes on the clock, you're kind of stuck watching it out. Here, after a minute of detective non-activity, they'll just get a loss. But also, it doesn't register the PR into the files. But I believe you can still download it, and you can load it into XG on your desktop, and you can analyze it that way. I think you can still replay it, maybe not. So the casual games, they don't. So the Royals and the casuals, they just don't. Oops, I backed up too far. They don't store that in the backend database. But any match that you initiate, either competition mode or BG Studio mode. Oh, what's going on here? This. I had this. Oh, I'm on the wrong server. Somehow I wound it up on Heroes 3. Although it should be the same password on both. All right. Anyway.
Welcome back.
So we were looking at my matches. So here we can take one and we can replay it. And here is the history of the match. So this is a match that I played, I don't know, a week ago, something like that. You can see the move list similar to like you would in Galaxy, and I have it currently set to color code 20 errors at green. If it gets to 40, I think it'll turn yellow, and the blender is set at 80. And those are all levels that you can customize to your liking if you want to be harsher or more generous with yourself. But you can come down and you can click on a position, and you'll see the position, and it'll give you all the different moves that were possible and which one is the best one. It'll tell you whether that particular move was unlucky for the player or lucky. So this 3-1 was very unlucky because I wasn't able to escape, I guess. And oh no, this is for white double threes, so they had to crunch their board. But this is a way that you can review, you know, right in the interface menu.
Michelle has a question about premium membership and reviewing your matches. Michelle, do you want to unmute and ask your question? Can't hear Michelle, so I'll just go ahead and ask it for her.
Okay.
She says, do you have to be a premium member to go back and review a match?
I believe the answer to that is yes. Because I think without the premium membership, you don't get this private database. And the private database is your history. I think that you can, it's been so long since I've not been a premium member that I don't necessarily remember. I think that maybe you can replay it immediately after having played it to see what your errors are, but I don't believe they get put into a database for you to go back and look at. And in particular, there's a really nice feature where you can take a look at your blunders for a given week and get quizzed on them, which we'll take a look at, which is pretty handy. So according to in the menu, it was our next feature actually, was looking at premium benefits. So you get access to the private database if you pay. You get an automatic tracking of errors, which will give you a nice little quiz that I was mentioning. You get access to Backgammon Studio Server, which has all sorts of great training tracks and quizzes there as well. Admin support, you can have, I don't know if this is still true, but looks like you get a higher incomplete limit in Heroes if you're the type of person maybe that did run away from matches that you were losing. Unlike other platforms, if someone disconnects from a Heroes match, the match stays there and you're able to resume it at a later time. But in order to prevent abuse of that, you're only allowed a certain number of incomplete matches. And what I usually see is 6. So those are probably non-premium. Once you hit 6, then you can't start any new matches until you finish old ones. And I think that's a pretty reasonable limit. I mean, if you find yourself in more than that, then maybe you're part of the problem sometimes. If you do find yourself at that limit through no fault of your own, you can, which is probably the next bit, you can click on the admin help button. And what that'll do is that'll reach out either to a country admin like me or Martin if we're logged in, or if nobody is, it'll go up to the developer with a chat window where you can say, hey, you know, these people have been quitting on me. Can you take a look at my matches and resolve them so that I can play more matches? And that's something that we admins can do. We can actually go in and take a look at the position that the match was left in. We can resolve it for one player or the other and get it out of the queue. So even if you do find yourself racking up some incomplete matches, you do have an ability for an admin to come in and take a look and clean that up for you.
Leslie has a question on the screen regarding check marks. Do you want to ask your question, Leslie?
Is the question, what are they?
If you're addressing me, April, thank you. Michael, those check marks in the different columns, I
Yep.
see now that I'm reading, my eyes don't see all this information.
It tells you who
The check
won.
marks mean you won
Yep.
the match.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Question answered. Thank you.
Sure, not a problem. Not a problem. Let's see. And then you can exit here. Tournament admins, if you wanted to reach out and message someone who's a known tournament administrator, for example, you wanted to message me maybe, you can come down to the United States section and I'll be here and you could message me here. So that's all that is. It's just a list of known tournament admins that might come in useful, but usually people already have our contact information one way or the other. So I skipped over settings though. So settings is going to be the heart of what we do that impacts our play experience here on Heroes. So let's take a look at those. If you click on menu and settings, you'll get this kind of long laundry list of settings. The first box is recommended settings. I don't know anything about them. These are preference files that were put up, I don't know, some time ago. I'm not even sure how up to date they are, but potentially these would throw all sorts of switches for you to help you in your hero's engagement, but I can't tell you which ones they do. So I've never looked at them. Instead, we'll take a look at them all directly so that you can tailor this experience to you. And one thing that'll be nice is this video will be put up onto YouTube. Later, you can come back, maybe open it up on your phone alongside your heroes and go through this and help fine-tune your own heroes session. So if we go to features, I think there's an introductory experience where not everything is turned on at the start, and kind of as you play, things will start to unlock. But you might just want to go straight here and basically just turn everything on. Competition format unlocks that format that doesn't say awesome. That's a more serious format, which you'll need for tournaments. Achievements are just kind of fun coin rewards for doing something like having 10 awesomes in a row, or maybe you play a perfect game. You know, you'll get fun little alerts and you'll get coins, and you can see your coin total in the lower left. They mean nothing. There's no economy in this game. It's just a fun little thing with a number that kind of goes up and down. Performance rating will allow the ability to see what your PR was at the end of your match. And performance rating in Heroes, when you play a match, is based on a GNU Backgammon 2-ply, which I think is similar to XG 3-ply. So it's decent. It's decent. It's maybe not, it's not as good as dropping it into XG, but I think it's a pretty good indicator of how well you played. The extra match types are things like Pasco Gammon or Knack Gammon, or you can play some of the Persian variants, which are kind of fun. Coins on or off, like I said, they don't really mean much, but a lot of people will just play for coins, but you'll never run out. Tournaments allows you to see the tournament section and engage in tournaments, and we'll come back and see that. Private database turns on and off the bit up here in the tab. You have to be a premium member, I believe, to have it, but that's where that switch is. And this is where the Royals mode turns on and off. That's this part where you can just easily drop into a match with someone without a whole lot of fuss. So if you don't see this Royals part, go to menu, settings, features, and turn it on.
Someone had a Royals question a little while back. Let's
Okay.
see, who was it? You had a question about Royals. I think it was, how do you turn it on? Feel free to speak up.
Well,
Okay, maybe their question got answered. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I-
you, like I said, you come into the feature settings and you can turn it off and turn it on right here.
I have a little bit of a question about that, if you don't mind. When
Sure.
when you want to maybe claim, then a whole big box came up with each one of the people's things. Can you get that box first to see who's got a format that you want to claim?
So you can thank me for this because I'm the one who suggested it. But there is a Royals page right here
Perfect.
that tells you that the king is a 5-point match. The queen is well, it doesn't tell you how many. It's a 3-point speed or a 5-point speed match. DMP, regular 3-point, Knack Gammon, Pasco Gammon. This is an 11-point with no feedback whatsoever. And the wizard is a 7-point consultation. It gives you feedback, it gives you running PR, but there's no pip count. And that was my personal, because I like to play with no pip count, which I'll show you how to do as well, because I feel it's more helpful for my live game to not have a pip count when I'm playing online. and we'll see
And
how
all
to do
of
that.
these cost you coins, apparently.
They do, but you get 500 a day for logging in.
Oh.
And just as you play, like I said, you'll get, if you get 10 awesomes in a row, you'll get a bunch of coins. You get coins for this and coins for that. There's a whole, if we look at the achievements here, so wins in a row, perfect match, perfect game. There's some hard victory, like if you come back from behind, and you can get, a lot. If you win a 4-player tournament, the tournaments will have an ability to gain coins. If you get awesomes in a row, you get lots of ways to get coins. So once you get
You have
rolling,
almost 4 million coins.
huh? Yeah, I
Do
have
you have
almost
almost
4
4
million
million coins?
Yeah, I do. I probably have more than most. I've been around for a long time on the platform. But yeah, once you get going, you don't have to worry too much about the coins. But maybe when you first get started. But then if you just play for a while, you'll accumulate coins along the way. All right, so Royals. Oh, we were looking in the settings, and that was features. I'm going to skip board settings and come back to that because that's where we change all sorts of things about our backgammon board when we play, and I'd rather come back to that after looking at these other interface bits. Chat settings, I don't generally touch them. If you really wanted to turn off chat so that you don't see like the public chat or chat while you're playing, you could turn them off. But in general, I've never touched them. Color settings. So here, Leslie, is another thing you can do is you can take this little slider and choose a color. And now if I find myself in the list here, if I go down to the M's, I'm now blue. And then if you want to know who your friends are, you can come over here, and I like to use green for friends. Choose green, and now all my friends are showing up in green in this list. And they should also show that way here in the live match. You see how Sean and Jeff are colored. So those are very helpful. This main background is less of a thing because all it really impacts is like I'm going to take this orange in the chat area down here and I'm going to drop it down to like a parchment color. And the border color, I like to kind of maybe make it a little brown so it's not quite as much. And that's just, some of these little lines in between, it just kind of softens the interface a little bit. But you can play with these colors until you get a scheme that you like. But that's a nice way to be able to find yourself and maybe to see your friends more easily because now they're different colors. Display settings. So you might need to go into these if you're on your phone or a tablet. You can switch between a desktop UI and a mobile UI. Doesn't happen too much. You don't really need to change anything here, except for if you're on your phone and it defaults to mobile, but maybe you have a tablet and you want to use the desktop UI, then you might have to come here and click it and it'll force it into that UI. But in general, you don't have to worry about that. Email settings, you can have it automatic, and I don't know how much of this is premium, but you can have it send you your match transcripts by email. So instead of like if you don't have the private database, so I think it does work without a premium account. It'll just email you the file, and then you can open that file in Extreme Gammon. You can choose whether it uses MAT or I forget what it actually uses, but you don't want to use MAT. You just want to go ahead and leave that off and use the default. Tournament start announcements are on. It'll forward messages. Like if I get a message in the interface, it should send me an email letting me know that I have a message and here's the match schedule suggestions. And if you need to update your email address or use a different email address, you can do that here. Notification settings. So these in your browser, if you allow it, it will pop up little notifications. For example, if you leave the tab, it'll show you when you get challenges or if somebody posts something in the chat. When a friend logs in, you can, if you felt that you wanted to turn some kind of notification off, this would be the place to do it. But in general, I don't really ever touch those. Password is where you can just change your password. Sound settings. So here, let's see, checker sound. I always turn off the pickup dice sound because I don't like that crunchy sound. There's a certain checker sound, like a movement sound. You can go through here and basically just turn on and turn off the things that you don't want. So basically, I just listen to the hit checker when a checker gets hit. I don't mind if it ka-chings when I get some coins for an achievement. And I like to have it say something when I get challenged. So either it'll be a voice that says you have a challenge, or if you're playing in the Royals, it'll be a trumpet fanfare like ba 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 ba, something like that. But you can adjust the volume. I guess you could turn on a continuous notify sound until you turned it off. I don't recommend that. I don't know that I've ever heard the front message sound, but that's where your sound settings are. User list. These are defaults, so that's this bit over here, which you can just change with the headers. But if you want to set the defaults, you can come here and do it. You can choose, I think this is off at first, where you can't see what the rating of the players are. I'm always interested to know what the ratings of the players are, so I turn that on. You can turn the flags on and off. You can, I don't know, if you really hate rounded corners, you could turn those off. If you needed to change the size of the font or the area, like I think this will kind of expand that user area over if it fits better on your monitor, because not all of our monitors are the same size. And then you can change the user list, that's this bit here, from either this drop down or the classic, which is, just don't even worry about it. Drop down is generally good. Voice settings is fun. This is where you can, maybe you don't want all of the, like I don't like the, like you can't move or something like that voice on there. But the main thing I want to mention is you can change the voice. I forget who the default is. It's like David, or maybe it's Guy.
This feels much better.
Oh, I don't know if my sounds are going through. Maybe they're going to you, but not to me. But currently, I'm just kind of listening to Microsoft Jenny. She has a nice, pleasant voice. But every time you change it, you should get a sound that says, "This feels much better." And they'll say it in different languages and different accents, depending on whether it's UK or US or Canada or what have you. But you just kind of play with it until you find a voice that you like, because it's a voice that you listen to a lot when you make all of those great, awesome moves all the time. And then you have the ability to download your settings and then upload it into another. So say, for example, you're moving to a new computer and you don't want to go through and set everything back up again. You can download your settings, copy them or email them to the other computer, and then upload them to get all your settings back. So that's all the main interface stuff. And now, unless anyone has any particular questions about this before we go in, we'll talk about the board settings. Can I answer anything for anyone regarding what we've seen so far? Nope, all is good. Can you still hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, all right. So here we go into board settings. So board settings also gives us a fairly significant list of options of things that we can change. So the first option is the board size. I think what you may see is, I think when you first start, you'll see something more like this, where you'll have the chat down here, and then you'll have these things over here. My Surface has a squarer screen, and I prefer to have that chat list off to the side, and I like the play field to kind of take up the top to bottom side. But you can just plus or minus that, and it will adjust the size of the board. You can use automatic, but I don't like where automatic sends it. You can choose to just see the board. Maybe you don't care about the move list or the chat, and you want it nice and big on your screen. But I like to see all those settings. Bear off, you can choose right or left. For example, by default, it bears off to the right, which is what pretty much every online backgammon server does. But in live play, I actually bear off to the left because I use a baffle box, and I like the opponent to have the option of rolling. So I can come here and I can send my bear off to the left so that I'm, using the same kind of checker movement that I do in live play. You can turn flags on and off. Flags will show up in let's see. Yeah, it's not really showing there, but flags will show up in the checker tray for where the player is from. You can choose to either have the flags always in front. I like to turn that off so that as the checkers fill the tray, they cover up the flag. Sometimes I have a hard time seeing how many checkers are borne off if the flag is on top. So I do recommend that you turn off the flags in front option. I'm going to skip board textures and come back to that one. We can change our checkers. We can, we have all sorts of fun options for what you want to do with those. You can change the border color. You can give it bigger borders or smaller borders. We'll come to the white one and maybe we'll give it this weird agate shape. But you can kind of play with those. You can see that the white checkers have a black border. Maybe I want those to be bigger, so it looks like a coin. All of these things are fun, editable things that you can do. Maybe you want to be the other color and you want your opponent to be the darker, the lighter. You can swap that as you like. There's sadly, this part is pretty limited. These aren't terribly great, but you have a few options of what to do with the cube. And then arrows. Arrows show whose turn it currently is. And you can choose from some different arrows. So that's kind of fun. If you look at board elements, you can turn the numbers on and off. If the numbers bother you on the screen, you can turn them off or turn them on. You can turn the scorecard on and off. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. It is possible to get the score like over in this area, which we'll see, which may be a reason. But there's an extra undo button. So there's an undo button here. But if you really wanted another undo button, you can put one down here at the bottom of the screen. I don't find that helpful. Alternate arrows, you can have arrows or dice. I like arrows, but if you like dice, you can have dice. What is this? The cube and cloud. Oh, this is a weird one. If you want the cube and the score on the same side, you can do that, but that just seemed lopsided to me. You can go completely gray, which I expect maybe helps some people with some visual acuity issues. You can turn the shadows on and off. If you want maybe a flatter presentation, makes it easier for you to see the board, or you can turn the shadows on. Resign button, it's underneath here, you can't see it, but it adds an additional resign button. But in general, you can always resign from this menu, so I don't see a reason to have a button for it. Video button, this part right here, this allows you to have a video session with your opponent. It pulls up a Jitsi, which is kind of like Zoom video client, and you can actually have live webcam with your opponent, which is a nice thing. But if you find that you never use it or never want to use it, you can turn the button off. And then the same with a screenshot. The screenshot button will allow you to choose like either the board or maybe the move section, and it'll snap a picture for you and download it to your computer automatically, which is handy. I don't really use that because I use the Shift Windows S and just kind of manage that myself. So I'm going to turn off my screenshot button. If we go into animations, this is where you can kind of fine tune the speed that the checkers move. You can make them go faster or slower. And that can depend on your computer, maybe the power of your computer. Maybe it needs to go a little bit slower, or maybe it's going too slow and you feel like it's dragging you down. You can do that. Or you can go, Galaxy style and just turn off animations altogether, and it'll just snap immediately to the final position. But if it's on, you'll be able to see the checkers move as your opponents are moving them, which I prefer and I like. Inputs, board buttons on and off. So that's these down here for roll the dice, undo, double if it's available. You can change the sizes of the buttons. Maybe it's kind of hard for you to click them at their current size. You can make them bigger or smaller. You can spread them apart, which is what the board spacing does. You can also, if you use a mouse, I don't, I use a touchscreen for the most part, but if you are a mouse user, you can map the right button to do things, and the default is an undo. So maybe you've moved like doubles around and you want to just do a quick undo. Instead of coming over here, you just right click and it undoes the move, or you can use it to play the right die or swap the dice, which is a nice feature. Confirm cube action. I highly recommend that you make sure that is on. What that does is when you double, either by hitting the double button or by clicking on the cube over here, it will ask you, are you sure? And I had one friend who said, "Oh, that's dumb. Why do you need a confirmation? You know when you do it." And the very next game that they played, they accidentally hit the double when they didn't mean to and got into big trouble. So I recommend the confirm. It's nice in case you accidentally click the wrong button. It gives you a second chance to make sure that you want to double. These bits here, you can turn off the double button altogether so that you have to click on the cube. And you can change to just giant board dice too, if you're having trouble seeing these dice. So those are input 1, input 2. So it will ask you if you want to turn these on as you first start playing. I despise make points. What make points does is, like, if you click on your 5 point, it'll automatically make it if it can with the die roll. I like to explicitly say which checker moves which number, so I turn that off. If you find yourself like you're clicking and it's checkers are moving and you're not intending for them to move, come back here and turn this off. Make sure you turn that off. Otherwise, I like to be able to drag the pieces as well as to click them. I want it to go ahead and automatically accept when I can't make a move. You could turn it on so that you have to say confirm, even if it's forced or you can't make the move. Play from the bar first. If you want to force yourself to play from the bar first, Leslie, you could select that and then it'll force you. Otherwise, it lets you do it in either order. And sometimes online, it's easier just to play, like if the bigger dice is out here, you can just play it and then play in with the smaller dice. But you have some flexibility there. Spacebar to roll or confirm, I've never done that. I would think I would probably misroll or misconfirm if I use that. Last game default just says when you challenge someone, the next person you challenge will use the same settings as you did before. I don't know what the alternative is because I thought that's what mine always did. And the other 2-bit we don't really care about. Info area, this is this bit on the right. You can turn the move list off and on, depending on whether you actually want to see it. You can change the size of it. You can make it bigger or smaller with, little plus and minuses. Completed games, I'm not sure what that is. If you want completed games to be collapsed, I'm not sure what that does. Error highlight on or off. If you don't want to see the highlights, you can turn them off. If for some reason you like it over here, you can click this swap menu board to move it to the other side. But otherwise, there's really not anything to change in there. Info area 2. So these are all the little bits like Usually there's little buttons here that'll show you luck factor, maybe your PR. Oh, there's luck meter right there. And what you can do is you can choose to either have them on, which always puts them in this little area, this little chat area, or you can make it a tab, which makes it a little button that you then have to switch to in order to see. For something like info or the luck meter or the observers, tabs are usually pretty good. When I'm doing a PR, I want to see the PR all the time. It's not showing me the PR here now, but it'll show you the PR. I like to see the awesomes in a row because it shows both mine and the opponents, so I can get an idea of how well they've been playing. And luck, if you want to see luck in an ongoing. But basically, you can change them from either always showing down here or being a separate button that you click in this header. Like right now, you can see my PR is on. It's just always right here. If I don't want to see it right now, I can hit these little toggles to collapse them. But just something to play with until you find, something to your liking in that section. And the error highlight, this is where you can choose what's green, what's yellow, what's red. Mochi has his red down at like 0.04. But you can adjust them however you like, or you can just turn them off altogether. So those are everything that kind of surrounds the board. Now I'm going to go back to board textures. And this is where you can change like the outside of the board. You can change the inside of the board. You can change the different colors of the points. There's just a ton of flexibility in terms of how you want to craft this to really be nice and enjoyable while you're playing. There's a gallery that just has a bunch of predefined settings that somebody thought looked good together. So if you're looking for some inspiration, you could go through the board gallery. I guess you can share your settings with someone. I've never done that. But this bit, I think, is an important one, and it's the ability to have your own custom board. And what you can do is you can point it at a folder. And that folder can contain a set of images that if you have, the ability to do a little bit of graphic design, you can set these together. In our case, we had an XG skin from Rain that made our XG look like one of the boards that we have, and I was able to adjust those and create versions that would fit in Heroes. So I have a folder here that has a whole bunch of files in it, and to make matters short, if I set the folder to it, now my Heroes looks like the board that I play on live. I got to change the cube back, but which is a great thing, but not a lot of people have the skill set to create these from scratch, which is why I would like to show you Mel Kelf's Flex Hero skins. Both of us kind of started developing these skins at the same time and collaborate a little bit, and she really took off and designed a bunch of things, and I believe she takes commissions. And you can go to this website and basically buy a skin that you can download to your computer, point your heroes at it, and it will become the board that you play on. And Mel was kind enough to offer us 3 skins to viewers of today's seminar. And maybe now would be a good time to raffle those off. April, I hope you got my message about filling in.
I did. Do you want me
Okay.
to do it, or I did message you the list of people? Otherwise, I can go ahead.
If you sent me the list, maybe that's
could do
easy
it.
enough. So let's see. How do I get back to
Facebook.
my chat? I need to come over.
I put it in Facebook chat, but I can put it in this chat if
Oh,
you'd
put it in this
rather.
chat because I don't have Facebook up anywhere. So
All right. So I'm going to put your names in the chat, and I want you to look and make sure that I got your name in there. If you don't see your name on the list, speak up and let me know. Could you give us a second? I just want to make sure that
yep, nope, I understand.
everybody gets a chance to look for your name. Silence. I think that I'll take that as being okay.
All right, all right. Well, let's find out who our first winner is. I don't have a drum.
This is fun.
Nora is our first winner. Congratulations.
Nora.
Woo, 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 woo.
Hooray.
So we'll keep that in the result list. We'll find number 2. Oh, I was supposed to remove you from that. You can't win twice. And M gets a skin. Congratulations.
Woohoo.
And our final skin winner of the evening is, oh, it was close, Rachel Lawrenson. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So what I'll do is I'll come back here and I'll throw these back into this chat. Winners. And what she asked is that you can get a hold of her on Facebook. If you're not a Facebook person, we'll help facilitate whatever needs to be done. But congratulations for that. You can get yourself a nice.
What I suggest is, so I don't have your contact information necessarily. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. It's april@usbgf.org. So if the winners could send me an email, so I have your email address, and I will connect you with Fleck, who will help you get your board ordered. Congratulations.
All right, nice. So I'm just going to come here, and because it's going to bug me if I don't do it, I'm going to change my cube from this red one just back to this nice one. All right. All right, so now I have this, lovely custom skin that is just like playing on my board at home. So those are the different things you can do in the board settings. So now that we've looked at that, let's take a look at some of these other sections. So there's a tournament section where you can just kind of look at and sign up for open tournaments that are accepting entries. There's some various country ones. Some of us have the ability to create tournaments. Usually I'll do like a 9-point tournament every once in a while for 16 players, and people just see it and join up for it, and it's great. There are these daily tournaments that Heroes just spits up automatically. So it sees what the activity is like, and you can pretty much always find, a 5, a 7, or a 9 at any time that you log in. And you can see here how many players it's accepting and how many players have currently joined. So if we wanted to play a nice long 9-point, we can just click on this. We can see who's already registered for it, and we can join it. Maybe I will join it. So now it's joined, and once it fills, it will become one of my active tournaments. And what happens when it's an active tournament, we can take a look at, well, we'll look at this one, for example. It actually creates, a big old bracket. And what it'll do is, remember this tournaments area? Oh, I guess it's hidden back there. This tournament area will show you who your next opponent is once you're matched up. So you'll see when they're online, and you can choose to schedule with them. And it's kind of a nice automated series. If you play in a WBIF tournament, I believe they're integrated into Heroes. So they'll also show up. in your WBIF tournament area, which is really slick. But that's one way to look at. You want to look at your own tournaments. You know, these 3 tournaments I'm currently in, they're kind of dragging. But also because I've asked, and anybody can ask who's a premium member, you can admin your own tournaments. So these are tournaments that I've created over time that I can go back to and take a look at and see, you know, who the winners were. So that's the tournament section. Champions is just the master list. So if we look by PR or by ELO, Dirk Schiemann is at the top of the list. If we sort by PR, Bootski, I don't know who that is, but you can see Dirk and Michi and Mochi are all up there. If you want to see who has the highest win percentage, you know, you can do that. But obviously it's going to be higher when you've only played 1 match and you won that match. But it's just kind of the leaderboard for heroes. Achievements is the section that shows you, you know, like down here, if we look at the Royals and we look at Wizards, I can look at that and I can see that, oh, I'm number 9. I've won 18 Wizard matches, so I'm ranked 9th in the Wizards. But also, this is where all your fun little achievements are, and you can see which ones that you've unlocked and I think which ones you haven't. Yeah, it tells you how many that you've done or what date that you accomplished achievements. The practice session is really, this is a very soft pitch. What it really is he's trying to say that, you know, you can go to Backgammon Studio and there's a ton of resources there, but he didn't want to come out and say it. So he has, well, you can see these YouTube channels and these other people have things, but it's just an advertisement, really. Private database. So this is the main reason probably why you want to get your premium membership. You can, like, maybe if you want to go back, you can see your most recent completed matches, say the last 100. And maybe I forgot to download a match that I played the other day that I wanted to pull into XG. Or I really wanted to go back. Maybe I was in a tournament and played 5 and really wanted to go back and look. And this is where you can go back and take a look at the games that you had previously played. Private database. But also, you can take a look at your week in review. So if we look at that, and this actually has been keeping track of all of my blunders since 2021. If we go into 2023 and take a look, it numbers the weeks of the year. So we're currently down here in the 47th week. And basically what it's done is it's found this many errors. And what I can do is I can go in and do a little quiz. So I made an error with these double 5s, and it's asking me, what should I have done? It's not even telling me what I did necessarily, but it asked me what I should have done. And actually, there's a lot of things you can do with double 5s. But basically you can go through, and if you get the correct answer, it will mark it as completed. And basically you could just kind of go through and play through your errors and keep track of which ones that you're correcting. You know, if I go through and browse, this is going to show me all of the errors that I made in week 46, which I guess I didn't play very much. But like, for example, here, I missed a double. So I can see that, you know, even though I'm down in the race, these checkers back here on the ace are such a problem, and the opportunity to hit an ace here is a big market loser, that I should have doubled. So it's just a way to, you know, go back and get a week in review. And then yep, go ahead. Oops, I keep going too far back.
I have a little question about the errors and going back to them.
Welcome back to Mesich.
Does this program categorize all of your errors? Like, does it show you most of your errors are middle game or most of your errors are cube decisions?
No, and that's really kind of a difficult thing for any automated system to do.
Okay.
However, having said that, I will show you something very soon that will be of use to you. You can choose between checker play and cube handling errors if you want to focus on one or the other. And then there are, and actually here, so you see this number 13 training tracks. If we take a look at it, here are 29 different thematic training tracks that you can play. Opening replies, escaping, prime anchors, when to make your golden point or when not to. And basically, if you go into these, like let's look at third roll, there's 57 here. Well, these might even, no, these can't be mine, can they? No, I think these are just training tracks. So here you will just wind up with third roll position after third roll position after third roll position. This is nice. The Backgammon Studio side has more. So let me actually bring that up. So Backgammon Studio is kind of a partner site to Heroes. And if you buy premium, I think one of the, what's going on here? I've been having problems with my passwords lately. Oh, well, now my account is blocked. Well, I wish I could have logged into it, but basically here there's also a big set of quizzes, checker quizzes, cube quizzes. They collect pretty much every match that's ever been uploaded onto YouTube gets transcribed and documented into Studio for you to go through and step through. So it's a huge learning resource. So like here's the training tracks in Backgammon Studio, like double tiger plays or risky redoubles or you're 40 plus pips or more behind. It's just this huge resource, and it's probably a good part of why Danish and Scandinavian players are so good, because this is from where they're from, So, and like here's an example of just matches between these players, and you'll see it like when the UBC or the Monaco World Championship plays, every match that was recorded and broadcast gets transcribed and dumped into XG and becomes something that you can go through and just go through the moves and see the errors and see how they played and things like that. It's a little too much for me. I don't have this kind of time, but if you really wanted to hammer a specific type of position, it's a great resource to do that.
And it is personalized to you over on the Backgammon Studio side. It does categorize your moves. You have to pay for premium, but it will do that, and it will provide a training for you.
Okay. And then the last bit on this upper menu is this is where your messages are. There is a question about where do you see messages. There's a little envelope over here, and the number will increment as you get messages put into your system. So let's see, how did I do? Leslie, you feel confident you can find yourself in the interface now? I think we did a pretty good job at looking at how to find like tournament rooms. We took a look at how to better find friends. We looked at tournaments, Blunder database, and messages. Does anybody have any lingering questions or clarifications maybe that I can help out with? Going once?
This was a wonderful session. It was so informative.
Well, thank
Really
you. I hope it
appreciate
wasn't too overwhelming.
Not at all.
The nice thing is once it's on YouTube, you can take it in chunks if you need to. I don't know. It is a lot, and I acknowledge that. I acknowledge that.
Michael, I'm wondering now that we've showed everyone heroes, if we could show them where they can get involved to play a USBGF online match.
Okay.
Michael, before you do that, can you, I don't know if you went over this or not, but when the messages keep popping up, once you've got tournament ready, how do you prevent all of these people from asking you to play? And even when you decline, there's still people asking to play. So how do you?
So did you set your flag to tournament ready?
I thought it was either match ready or something. I don't know.
Oh, see, if you're looking for any match, if you're tournament ready, well, one, it should not make you a good target for people to ask, but also I think it might restrict it to only getting well, and this is tournaments in Heroes. If this is a tournament for some external event, then probably what the answer there is you still mark yourself as tournament ready. You go to that room, and they shouldn't be hitting you. If they are, just switch to busy until your opponent is actually ready. If you're in busy mode, the circle with a line through it, they can't challenge you.
Okay.
They'll get a notice that you're busy. So that would be the way to quiet that noise.
Okay. All right.
All right. So as USBGF members, which I believe you all are, you also have access to the online tournament system. So if you go to the USBGF website
You'll
and
have
you
to
want to,
reshare your screen.
oh, am I not sharing it? Sorry. I did stop that. That's right. All right. Are we back?
Back.
All right. So here we are at the usbgf.org website. We would like to play in a tournament online. So we can click on that. Ben Friesen runs periodic ABT onlines, which are similar to a sit-down tournament, except you're playing online. But the online tournament series is a more asynchronous style where you can enter tournaments and then coordinate with your opponents and play with flexible scheduling, just like it says right there. So we click on that. We wind up with a list of events. If you're eligible, you'll have this nice little green plus. For example, I am not eligible for the Women's Monthly, but you will be. And basically you can take, these divisionals run every month. There's some special events like this one here. You can pay $35 for a chance to win a Gammon Stuff FTH board, which is kind of cool. There's a member blitz that gives you a credit towards your membership dues. There's a Pick a Pro lesson jackpot where you can enter for $20 and the winner gets a lesson from an expert of their choice. But this is where you can find the Women's Monthly. Since I can't enter that one, I will just click on, say, the December Advanced. And basically all you do is you hit the register button. And you'll be registered. You'll get email notifications and announcements. And when it comes to the women's tournament, there'll be a team session, no, a Zoom session that you'll get in the email that will allow you to all be together live and pair up with video and audio and go off to Heroes and play your matches. If we switch over to the Women of Backgammon, there you are. April was showing you earlier the calendar for it, but also you can see the events, you can follow along, you can see like the past events. If we look back to the November event, Kemi was playing. Has she been playing? I don't know that I'd seen her on the list before.
It was her
Well, we
first
had-
time, I think.
We had 16 players, and it creates a nice little draw sheet for you. And the matchups just go off and play, and then you come back and you can either, I don't know if you report yourself or if someone in Women in Backgammon reports for you, but it's a great opportunity to play some online tournaments in a USBGF context. So if
click
you're
on the
playing those
leaderboard, please?
divisionals, you'll have Martin, who's the tournament director for the USBGF online tournaments, who can help you with questions and, things like that. Question, did I hear?
Could you click on the leaderboard, please?
Yes.
At the top.
Maybe. There it is.
There we go. Okay.
Lisa
So this
Spear
is the
still.
leaderboard. Yeah, this is the leaderboard for the Women of Backgammon tournament. And some people have asked, what's the difference between the online tournament series, which Michael showed you first, and then the women's tournaments here? And the answer is, on the online tournament series, those are asynchronous. So you're going to have 2 weeks or so in between matches to play. It's at a very slow pace. You can schedule your matches. But with the USBGF Women of Backgammon, they're all done all in one night, and we get together, and it's sort of more of an in-person feel. And we're our own club. So this is the leaderboard for our club. For this year, Lisa Spear is on top. We have Harry Kanonopoulos for number 2, and then Karen Davis is number 3. Those are our top 3. We're going to be giving away a Chrysaloid board. Chrysaloid sponsoring us this year. So, so far, Lisa is far and away the top winner. But we have one more event. Yeah, we have one more event at the end of December. So I hope to see a lot of you at our next event on, it's the first Tuesday, so it'd be December 5th. Thank you, Michael.
My pleasure.
Great.
All right.
Does anybody have any other questions for Michael?
You're all Heroes experts now.
This was
And
Well, we
honestly,
certainly know a lot
you
more
can
than
always
we
reach
did.
out to me with questions if you have them along the way. I might be the admin that answers if you submit for admin help. But yeah, hopefully that'll help. And I think the more people we can get into this Heroes platform, just the better it is for everybody.
Yes, thank you,
Thank you,
Michael, so
Michael. I
much.
think this was very informative. There's a lot of information to swallow on Heroes. But the more we play on any site, the better we get.
Yeah.
And the more things like we discover. I think it's interesting to just log in and hit different tabs and stuff to find out things on our own too. We're so afraid to touch something because something may go wrong, but to just be a little more curious about what is there.
Well, and hopefully I've uncovered some nice quality of life features that maybe you didn't know were available to you in the system.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
If anybody wants to reach out and do a practice session, I'm available. You can always send me an email or send me a text. Nora and I are going to be getting together to practice, but I'll open that up to really anybody who would like to go in and get a little experience on the platform.
Yeah, that's very helpful as well.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight and for your excellent questions. I hope you had a good time, and we'll be posting this on YouTube. We meaning Michael, actually, because he's our tech expert who posts all of our videos on YouTube. So he's the one behind the scenes that processes all of our videos and posts them. So thank you for that, Michael. And you can go on YouTube and review all of the settings and review the presentation at any time.
I just want to make a quick announcement too, that our next speaker for December will be John O'Hagan, and Linda Clay will be back doing the host for that, as well as January, we will have Kara Schultz, one of our own, who will be doing a conversation with us in January. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Excellent. Thank you. Michelle asks, what do you type into YouTube to access this video? Oh, good question. You just search USBGF or US Backgammon Federation in YouTube. And there's a playlist. Michael's going to pull it up for you. In YouTube, USBGF. Then you go to our channel. You scroll down on the front page of our channel, you'll see all of our playlists, USBGF Women of Backgammon. All of our videos are there in a nice, neat playlist. So when we post Michael's session, it will show up first, right next to Albert Staggs. And if you subscribe to the channel and you turn on your alerts, you'll get alerted when we post a video. A good question. All right, well, this has been a wonderful session. Thank you, Michael, for giving your time and energy to this. You're a great presenter.
Pleasure was
And
mine.
I'm not biased at all. All right.
You
Have a
again.
good evening, everybody.
All right, good night.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yes,
Happy
happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
you.
Good night,
Good session.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.